Hello students, welcome to week 2 for COM 555. This week we're looking at interpersonal digital communication as we're looking at digital communication strategies this term. As we look at the week 2 agenda, you'll see here that we are still reading our Groundswell text. Remember, that's up to you to read at your discretion throughout the next 3 weeks. So last week, this week, and the coming week to finish it to write your book review in week 3. So you should be well into that book at this point. There's not a specific point where you should be at, but I would assume you're at about the halfway point in that text so you can finish it up next week and write your book review. We're also watching 4 videos related to some theories within the course as well as some limitations to technological progress. And so as we're going through that, you have a discussion board due on Friday with reply posts due on Sunday, as well as an article review number 1 due on Sunday as well. Your article review number 1 requires you to critically review a journal article related to digital media, social media, and or new media research at a graduate level. So you're going to look for a journal article, some type of scholarship that is related to anything to do with digital media, social media, or any kind of new media strategy, looking at whatever you want to look at within that. You'll research and find a journal article that tests a communication theory related to social media and or whatever type of media you've found. And then once you've done that, you'll find at least 3 to 4 additional scholarly sources and write a brief response, 3 to 4 pages that include the following. First, you need to provide an overview of the article. Then you need to review the major concepts of the elements of the theory as well as what was found in the research study. Once you've done that, you need to then consider how it relates to the theory chosen and the course content. After that, you need to analyze its strengths and weaknesses along with finding and looking at the research based on articles and your outside sources. And then lastly, you need to comment on the theory within the article and what you think about it and how it relates to digital communication and communication theory. Discussion board number 2 asks you to create a 10-step strategy for improving global and digital communication within the church. What you're going to do is create a hypothetical church, or you can use your actual church to complete the following. So you're going to come up with a church that needs some help with some digital communication strategies or global communication strategies and help them find out and figure out a way in 10 steps to utilize digital engagement strategies based off of what we've read and what we've found so far this semester to help them develop a stronger global presence online. So if they're a small local church, maybe help them branch out throughout the state, branch out throughout the nation, or if they're a large church, branch them out throughout the world. Utilizing online strategies, so like social media, social networks, things like that, blogs, live video feeds, whatever you think is necessary for the church. You'll provide a rationale for your plan and use at least 3 outside scholarly sources to justify your plan. You do need to make sure there are at least 2 themes that the church could utilize as part of their digital communication strategy. So teaching the world about forgiveness, some type of biblical concept. It could be very general, it could be giving, it could be the Great Commission, whatever you feel is necessary to achieve that. I want to take a look at social penetration theory. This is a theory that we're considering looking at this point in the semester. So social penetration theory tells us it's within the socio-psychological tradition and is considered in the concept of the relationship. So it's definitely an interpersonal theory. It was developed by Altman and Taylor. And what they tell us is that relationships develop as interpersonal communication moves from a relatively shallow portion to more intimate. So you tell and disclose more. It's a theory of disclosure and privacy management. You tell and disclose more, the better you get to know someone. It's a very foundational concept in interpersonal communication. And Altman and Taylor view this type of self-disclosure and intimacy as an onion. So you pull back layers as you get to know somebody better. There are 4 stages of relation development. You can look at the image of peeling the onion as I go through this. Orientation tells us it's the first stage, and it tells us that individuals engage in small talk and simple and harmless cliches like life's like that, and really follow the standards of social desirability, norms of appropriateness, and things of that nature. They present themselves in a very superficial way because they are orienting themselves with the person, and they do not give a lot of disclosure. So their privacy is not really given out to those. It would be like somebody you would be having a conversation with after church, or you would in the coffee shop or at your kid's practice. You give some basic cursory information and you kind of go from there. Exploratory affective stage is where individuals start to reveal that their inner self, bit by bit. They start expressing personal attitudes towards certain topics about government, education. They may not give the whole truth or reveal everything, so there is a certain aspect of privacy management to this and lack of self-disclosure, but they're comfortable enough to have a casual friendship with the person. The effective stage is where individuals are getting more comfortable to talk about private and personal matters and where some form of commitment is given. So personal idioms, words, and phrases that embody unique meanings only to those two individuals are used in conversation. Criticism and arguments may arise. There's a comfortable share of positive and negative reactions that occur in this. Relationships become more important to both parties, and so on and so forth. The stable exchange phase or stage is where the relationship now reaches a plateau in which some part of the deepest, most personal thoughts and beliefs and values are shared, and you can predict the emotional reactions of other people. This stage is characterized with complete openness, raw honesty, and a high degree of spontaneity. It's what we most likely see and we most closely see in that of best friends or really close siblings or spouses. It's reserved for those that understand you at the most deepest and intimate level. There have been some recent changes to social penetration theory. The Littlefoss and John theories of communication text is the cornerstone in communication studies in terms of it sets the bar as to what is being said and known about specific theories within the field. They recently published an updated edition of their text, and they renamed social penetration theory to communication privacy management theory. Under this assumption, they say that now we're looking at social penetration theory as being something more complex, with the innate nature and changes in communication technologies and utilizing devices like our phones and social networking and mediated communication to take the place of face-to-face communication. We need to now live under the assumption that we need to consider social penetration or communication privacy management in a more in-depth and robust perspective. So what they're saying is that it's a lot more complicated than just peeling the onion back as to how we manage privacy. Peeling the onion back shows us more about self-disclosure, but how we manage privacy is a little more in depth. It's not just as simple as pulling one layer apart at a single time until we get to the core. What it tells us is that as we peel back our communicative layers like an onion, we always are searching to maintain a certain level of privacy control. And there is a point where we get to the core. However, there's certain points where we pull back, maybe not the entire layer, in different stages in relationship development. So rather, the scholars are beginning to look at this not as a theory of self-disclosure, but really a theory of communication privacy management to show what we determine and how we look at what we disclose and keep control our private moments and things like that within our lives, which is really fascinating. There's been some changes in the field recently with that. So as we look through the week agenda, let's just remember that we are watching 4 videos that are all related to the course readings and assignments. We're finishing up the Groundswell text because we have our book review due next week with that. We're writing discussion number 2, that's due no later than Friday, with our reply post due by Sunday, and our article review number 1 is also due on Sunday. If you have any questions, let me know. Please reach out to me early and often in the week. I pray you all have a blessed week, and I look forward to interacting with you. God bless.